Okay, podcaster, we are in for a treat today because we are talking about one of the things that we all struggle with, which is visibility. But we're not talking about it in a way that most of us see. Most of us actually think and believe is the truth. So, Benas has spent a year as an SEO solo strategist, working exclusively with speakers, authors, and let me tell you, I did some deep dives, some really big people, and has built out an entire personal branding agency to help us with this. So, what I'm hearing from each one of you is that you're struggling with visibility and it's not your content. So, here's the expert that's going to tell us how his system and the system that we should all be following is going to really help us with that visibility win. So, welcome, Benas.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much for having me. That was such a nice intro.
As I was digging in and getting to know you a little bit better, there are so many different ways that we could take this conversation. But what really stood out to me and what lit my heart up was that you have an infrastructure that are like my favorite platforms to actually build visibility, because I think so much of us spin the wrong way, or maybe we're trying to get visible in old school strategies. So tell me a little bit about SEO strategy, because everyone's like, this is so hard. And now that we have AI coming into the picture, it's a whole mess.
No, I totally understand. I mean, if we take us back even like 6 years ago, everything was much more simpler in terms of, how we understand things, how things work. Like one key shift that I'm seeing throughout the industry and I mean, that's kind of the reason why I'm shifting from doing just SEO to doing a lot more things, is that nowadays everything is much more connected than before, especially with AI and how AI search works, and how Google sort of is where Google is going, how Instagram is implementing changes. So it seems that we're not living in a world where you can do one platform and then that's it. I mean, yes, technically, if you are some kind of an entertainer and you do like Instagram Reels, yes, you can only succeed on Instagram Reels without doing anything else. But I mean, if we're talking about podcasters, if we're talking about business owners, it's no longer that one platform works. And the way Google finds you, the way AI finds you, is that they look through everything, meaning that you kind of need to be everywhere. But I don't want people to take this advice and now start creating accounts and Pinterest and Snapchat and do everything. That's also not the best way forward. But there is an advantage of strategically choosing specific platforms to work on, which help one another. So in this day and age, like if you have a podcast, then if you have a website, if you have a YouTube channel and an Instagram, if you treat them not as separate platforms, but rather as one visibility engine, then you can actually find a lot of synergies between different platforms and how one platform can actually help you on another platform. So this is basically the visibility engine that I've been developing for the past 3 years now, basically ever since AI search came into play. That is when I understood that the rules changed and started experimenting, started working on that. And now it seems I have something that actually works.
And you have proof, and I've read your proof, but I just want you to toot your horn for a minute so people can see, like, okay, maybe we're not getting those, but you're the expert in this field for sure that we want to talk to.
Yeah. So, well, let me just summarize a little bit. So, I run a personal branding agency for world-class experts, and I mainly work with keynote speakers, book authors, high-level executives, and founders. So, these are the key people that I work with, and basically, I want to grow their personal brand. The way that I'm doing it is I'm using a few key platforms or a few key ways to do that. One is their website, which is mainly SEO, search engine optimization, and AI search work. Then there is podcasting, so booking them on podcast, managing all of that. And then there is LinkedIn, which is a very, very important channel for keynote speakers and founders and stuff alike. In the past couple of years, I've worked with quite high level, for example, keynote speakers that I now have a lot of like case studies. So mainly those case studies are within SEO and AI search realm, since LinkedIn and podcasting is our recent additions, which I'm now currently working with clients with. But case studies are sort of being built as we speak, sort of. But in terms of SEO and AI search world, I've taken keynote speaker websites from just, a couple of thousand monthly users to like tens of thousands monthly users, and their speaking engagement numbers actually have gone increased. I worked with also improving the AI search. So, for example, one client, I think if I remember the numbers correctly, we've increased their AI search presence by like 800%, from like barely, a couple of hundred visits per year to over like a couple of thousand visits per year. So that's actually becoming a more important channel for them. And with AI search, it's kind of the earlier you start, the sooner you can get there, the better it is for you. I mean, Google worked the same way like 15 years ago. So we started very early, and we found a lot of success, and now those clients are benefiting.
I love this because I think that so many podcasters, we have great content, right? We can talk, we can speak. Some people, I know there's a lot of people in here that are trying to start the speaker network and trying to get on stages and stuff. But we have great content, but nobody can find us unless we're showing up in rooms like face to face. And I think that it's an interesting conversation, right? Because I came from way back in the day, SEO, like old school SEO, when you had to code websites. And this new AI thing, nobody's going to Google. Well, maybe not nobody. I should take that back. Most people are not going to Google anymore to search. We're picking up our phone and asking a question. So is there a different way to think about the AI searches versus the actual traditional SEO as we're going through this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting part, I mean, if you would have asked me, the similar question, like even like 2 years ago, I would have probably even said that SEO might be dead and it's like going away and stuff. But interestingly, very interestingly enough, not that many people are actually using AI search as we thought they would. So although like maybe me and you are using a lot of AI search, if you look at the statistics, Google still like owns like over 90% of searches worldwide. So the shift hasn't been as crazy as we predicted it. And maybe we are seeing shift in how people kind of search for information, but Google still is a major player. So that's kind of one assumption that maybe a lot of people might think, yeah, especially if you're online, if you're researching a lot of stuff. I mean, everybody's talking about AI, but the data so far hasn't really proved that it changed so significantly that now people are going to AI search instead of going to Google. Now, there is a caveat that Google also kind of is implementing AI overviews and stuff like that. So a lot of that stuff is still we still need to pay attention to AI search, but it's not like ChatGPT, Perplexity, or any other search engine is taking away a significant portion of those searches from Google. So we're still kind of playing on Google's side, making sure we optimize our websites there. The second part is that, interestingly enough, but the way to put it very simply, there are like a lot more advanced strategies, and I mean things change quite often these days. But generally speaking, what we have found is that the better you do in SEO, the better you rank on AI search as well. For now, the way AI search works is it basically looks up all of the organic search results done by SEO and surfaces those results. So at least for now, until AI search gets its own complex, some sort of algorithm, for now, the better you rank on the same keywords you ranked before, the better are your chances to rank on AI search as well. This is a kind of a general rule. Of course, there are like differences, and I mean, you will find a lot of good ranking websites that don't rank well in AI search. So there are different strategies already how to basically differentiate yourself. But generally, for now, SEO and AI search kind of go hand in hand. It's not like it would be very difficult to separate those two. Like it would be very difficult to rank high on AI search without doing any SEO work, and vice versa. If you somehow got very good AI search results by implementing some very specific strategies, you actually will also benefit your SEO as well. So there is this synergy that we're seeing between both of these. They might separate in the future, but at least for now, this is the data that we have.
So everyone can take a deep breath, including myself, because I'm like, great, now I have to learn something else. Like I'm already doing all the things. But as we're looking at SEO, because this is, again, one of the pieces that I think that podcasters and my audience really struggle with in this visibility piece, you mentioned like an ecosystem, how we're looking at all these strategies. That's the second part that people always come to me is like, Jen, I'm burnt out. I can't be on every platform. And then we start seeing the, like, I call it the repurpose dump, where they're not like you mentioned something about looking at them all working together. That isn't just standard repurposing everything over. Like we're really looking at each platform as an individual and then making them work together as like an ecosystem. Because I think this is one of the things that I was really excited to talk to you about is like you built an infrastructure where things compound and they build on each other. And that doesn't necessarily mean putting the same content on every platform, right?
Yeah. So the problem when people hear this is that is the exactly thing that what you described is that, oh, okay, let me then, take my, or let's say, for example, podcast, let me make clips out of it and then post the exact same clip everywhere. That is not necessarily treating each platform individually. And basically you might not find a lot of success in this particular strategy because each platform is different. You need to have you need to basically cater to each platform and make sure to know what each audience on each platform values. So this is a very, very important part in the overall visibility system, which, yes, it does mean it's more work, but it actually will produce you much better results this way. So yes, that is something that you definitely need to do. Now, as a like, if you have a podcast, again, you don't need to be on every platform everywhere, but you do need to experiment to see what works best for you. So depending, again, podcast can be about business, but it can be about art. It can be about, cooking. It can be about lifestyle, fashion. Like we have so many different categories, and every single podcast in a different category might perform very differently on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube Shorts, on YouTube long form. So if you're just starting out, then yeah, you need to research your competitors, see what others are doing, where others are finding success, but also experimenting. You never know. Maybe LinkedIn is good for finding, for making sure your art-related podcast ranks there if you find a good audience there. The key here is to find 2 to 3 platforms that makes the most sense to you, and then see how you can integrate all 3 to make sure that they all benefit each other. One thing that I've seen that a lot of podcasters neglect is the website. So the website is usually the one, the one that a lot of podcasters do neglect. However, how SEO and AI search works is that you do need a central hub for an algorithm to understand who are you and where you are, where you post and what you do. Website nowadays can act as that central hub. So if you have only LinkedIn, Instagram, and then you have Spotify and Apple Podcasts, yes, technically search and Google can find you, but you make it very difficult for them. For example, one key aspect of Google search that it's very recent, that was found only last year and was presented only at the beginning of this year when I was at the SEO conference, is that Google wants to save money by crawling websites. So what they do is they only look at the first 30 of your website before deciding if they should crawl further. So even if you have the best possible page, the best possible data, but it's hidden in that 70% bottom of your page, Google is not even going to see it. They evaluate your website on the first 30% before deciding to crawl further. This way, they save a lot of compute power. Of course, they need that for AI search and investment and data centers and all that stuff. But it just shows you that you need to make it as easy as possible for Google or any AI algorithm to basically go ahead and crawl all of your data. So if you do have Apple Podcast, Spotify, and then you have your LinkedIn maybe, and then you have your Instagram account, if you don't have a central hub, you make it very difficult for the algorithm to connect all of your accounts into one place. Yes, if you are a very big player, if you have a lot of thousands of downloads per episode, that makes it easier because the algorithm prioritizes more popular podcasts and people. But if you don't have that, having a website basically connects all of your different accounts and everything that you do all in one place. And that's just one benefit of having that.
Like, okay, I know it's on my list. I need to work on that website that I keep neglecting. I'm like, it is there, but it has not been updated in quite a long time. And this is probably why your clients are, I mean, like, I'm just assuming is why your clients need to come to you. Well, anybody needs to come to you, that you know, like, not everybody's a great fit, but like, this is why we need somebody in our space that understands the back end, because we can talk, we can speak, we can do all the things, but it's that piece of how does this all build together. And I love that you're like, don't be on all the platforms, because I think that's been so much of what the marketing was just in the beginning, at least when I started 7 years ago, it was like, just make clips, put it on all the things. And I'm like, no, we really need to think about this. And I love the central hub, because I'm running into this right now with my name, Jennifer Dragonette. Somebody decided that they wanted that to be their name. They actually changed their name, and they're ranking in front of me, who's had my name since I was born. And I'm like, no, there's 2 of us in the world, and I want to rank first. I was here first.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I love that you're putting that. I love, like, I'm switching to Jennifer Dragonette over Jen, because I'm like, no, I'm reclaiming my name. So I think this is a super important conversation. And I want to know, have you always been doing this for other people, or was this something that you started? You're like, I just love SEO, because there's always an interesting story that got somebody into like SEO, because it's technical, but it's also, I find it fun. I kind of feel like it's a little bit of like detective work.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in high school, I found out about, I had the business studies. So basically, it's a class where they teach you about just general business stuff. So at high school, I found out that there is, operations, there is finance, HR, and marketing, basically the 4 main departments of any business. And I remember looking at all of them and basically deciding then and there, oh, marketing looks the most fun. Marketing looks the most interesting one. And then as I graduated high school, it was about time that digital marketing was really taking over. Facebook or advertising was really sort of spot on. SEO was really growing. So it was the golden age for digital marketing. And of course, that is the thing that really interested me. So I shifted from traditional marketing very quickly to digital marketing. And then I started basically to experiment with, email marketing, social media marketing, advertising. I think I kind of went through every possible digital marketing aspect before I accidentally just landed on search engine optimization. And for some reason, it really stuck with me. I think I really liked the long-lasting results. I think for some reason I found it very appealing that first of all, you need to work harder than everybody else to achieve those results. Then if you leave the company or the client, it's not like they disappear instantly. With advertising, as soon as you switch it off, that's it. It's gone. So as soon as your budget runs out, it's over. And I didn't, for some reason, it felt very risky and I don't know, not my type of things. I probably am the person who likes to work on something that I know is gonna be there, long term. And SEO kind of really drew me in, but I found it by accident. I started learning on my own, and you're right. I actually first few things with search engine optimization were like client work. That's how I got introduced it slowly. I started writing articles for pocket money. Then somebody taught me that those articles are used for SEO. Then I started uploading them. Then I started optimizing them. So this is my kind of through working with clients. I was introduced a little to this search engine optimization world, and then naturally I for some reason thought, hey, I can do a website. I can do the same things. And actually I did. I was, throughout my freelancing career, I did actually create quite a few websites. I actually sold a few websites myself that were earning income from advertising and affiliate marketing. So a lot of the stuff I learned was half of it was probably from the clients, but half of it was from me personally doing SEO for my own websites and then eventually selling them. So it's a mix of everything, how I like came about into SEO and how I learned about it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I love the one thing that like really stands out to me is like it is a lot of work up front, but it does last. And that's like why I'm like, okay, I've always taught podcasting and old school SEO because back when I graduated, we were having to build it all into our websites and we didn't have Facebook and all of those things. I was pre those days when it was like you had to do it all yourself. But I think that's what a lot of us forget about is like we can have immediate results with SEO, but it's also those results. I have a podcast that I positioned correctly that I haven't done for 2 years, and I'm still getting emails in my opt-ins for that company that I no longer run. And I think a lot of us look over for those quick hits. We're so trained for that like dopamine hit of social media quick hit that sometimes we don't want to put the work in, or we think we put the work in. And I find a lot of people with SEO go so surface level that you're not going to get that, I call it legacy build.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's why a lot of people disregard search engine optimization, because it does require a lot of work up front and it is difficult to do. But again, I feel that whoever actually decides on to work on search engine optimization, first of all, I do admire these people because they have a long-term vision. So they are able to stick to something because I mean, I think the statistics, how many like podcasts end after like 7 or 9 episodes, like what is it, like 70%, 80, like
70%.
It's a crazy number. So it means that, 70% of podcasts don't even reach like 10 episodes or something like that, which is crazy to think about. And since I'm a believer myself in something that you work towards for a long time to reach those results, I think I do have admiration for people who invest in SEO, and I think that's why I get along with my clients because they have the long-term vision, I have the long-term vision, and we both basically are a good fit then.
So is there a good time in somebody's journey to come in and be like, I'm hiring an SEO expert? Like, when do we hire? When do we come to you and say, hey, I want to pay you? Is it?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. It depends. I mean, I've been working in search engine optimization for over a decade now. And at some point, I did realize that SEO is not a fit for everybody. Usually, if you don't have a big budget and if you're only starting out, sometimes it's not the best play for your business. SEO is something that you need to invest in while something else already generates like revenue or profit or traffic or whatever else that is. So usually SEO is an addition to something that is already working. Yes, it would be amazing to get started with SEO straight away as soon as possible, but from a business perspective, that might not be the most valuable thing. So if I'm, for example, let's say I'm a business owner, I have a podcast, what am I doing? First, I think I want to launch things off the ground using all other methods before I implement SEO. So usually SEO comes right after you already have some established revenue stream, some established audience, and you basically are prepared to go bigger and grow faster. This is when I think SEO makes the most sense for most people. Again, there are exceptions in every single case, but usually it's something that you have as an addition rather than starting from the start. It's good to have like most basic SEO things implemented because they compound as time goes on. But technically, that can be done as a one-time project just by hiring an SEO person, asking them to fix some specific things or implement some specific aspects of your website, and that already will compound for you until basically, in a year's or 2 years' time, you will decide to actually go and launch a full SEO campaign. You will have benefited from that initial setup.
I love that. And I think that's so true. Is I think that, like you said, there needs to be some basic level. Like even when you're just starting, like I tell my podcasters all the time, like you got to have some idea of what your people are. I call them my boring fingers. My SEO fingers are so boring when I'm typing things in. Like you've got to understand some of the boring finger SEO, or you're never going to be found. Like you have no opportunity. But I think that there, like you said, there's those levels that we can layer on, which I think is beautiful, that you're like not saying like, yeah, come out the gate. Because most people out the gate, they have no clue what they're really doing anyway. They need some time.
I mean, I had this experience myself when I had clients coming to me and they're like barely starting their website, their business. And I, once I sort of understood where they want to go, I advised a lot of actually businesses and turned down a lot of SEO clients or potential clients because I said, well, look, look at your business, look at your marketing. SEO is not something that you should be investing in. You should be investing in other stuff that kind of takes you off the ground, and then SEO makes sense. So I am a firm believer. I only want to provide the most valuable things that I can, and if it's an advice rather than the actual SEO implementation, then that's what I'm gonna do.
And that just, I mean, that right there like hits my heart, because I'm like, that's what a business owner should do. That's what somebody who's operating in integrity. And I think there's so many, again, we've been led so many wrong ways that I think that it's beautiful that you're like, yeah, it's not the right fit, but here is that next step for you. So tell us a little bit about your agency and who we kind of are getting an idea of who that's for, but like, how do you work with people?
Pretty simply. So I a little backstory. So the because you might think like you are an SEO expert, but now you're running a personal brand agency. That at first glance seems like worlds apart, actually. But honestly, if the way it all started is that first of all, I started working with keynote speakers. I had such a great experience with them. I provided some amazing results. I got some amazing case studies. They enjoyed working with me. I enjoyed working with them. And like naturally, I started working with more and more keynote speakers. And eventually kind of decided, okay, what is some other things that I can offer? What is some other things that I can do? Because, we have such a great relationship. Why not me just implement myself more into their business and help them in any other way possible? At the same time, as AI search was growing and AI in general is growing and people are using it, I saw and my belief is that having a personal brand is gonna become more and more valuable as time goes on. As the more AI slop or AI avatars are sort of becoming things and stuff like that, people will still want to connect with people. People will still want to gravitate towards people. And what I see right now is that the best opportunities are for people who have their personal brand. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be like an influencer or have like hundreds of thousands of followers. Even few thousand key followers for you might unlock some amazing opportunities in whatever that you do. So I saw that this is where the world is going. And I kind of started doing two things at the same time. I started offering that to my clients, but then I am doing personal branding myself. So I am posting on LinkedIn. I am talking on podcasts. I am actually creating a website and implementing all of the SEO. And so it's I believe those things myself. I do them for myself, and that is what I offer all of my other clients. So I think this kind of mix is probably the perfect blend of things where it's not something that I offer, but it's something that I also do myself because I believe that in 5 years' time, having a strong personal brand is gonna be very, very valuable.
Oh my goodness. I was just having this conversation. This makes me so happy to hear an expert talk about this. I was just having a conversation with one of my business besties. And I think that we need to stop editing so much. We need to start showing up face to camera more and being a little more human because of the AI that's out there. Because this personal brand thing, that's what we have to stand on. Because how much can we learn from just typing in and having AI teach us? Like, what makes us different? People. This whole podcast is people first marketing. And I know SEO doesn't seem people first, but it is. Like, we're thinking of our people, we're setting it up for our people to find its people first. So I'm so excited. Like, you have no idea how happy that made me.
Oh, that's
Like,
amazing. No,
yes,
that's
I'm on
really.
the right track.
Yeah. I no, I'm a firm believer, and I mean, I see a lot of like other people having a lot of success from their personal brand, and I'm not sure how long that window is going to be open, but at least right now, I think it's like the perfect time to actually build your personal brand, and you will, you will get you never know what kind of benefit you can get, but the best thing about personal brand is that it's just you, generally speaking, and then you can attach any kind of project, business, or whatever that is to your personal brand. So it's a thing, something that you basically can carry to your grave. Something like, it's something that is that powerful because it's just about you, rather than building a specific company profile or a specific branding for a specific business that you have. Those things can disappear, can fade away, can be sold, can be, moved along, but your name, I mean, that is something that is not going to disappear. So it's probably the most valuable asset that you can have.
Love that. So, for those podcasters that aren't quite ready to be in your space or come into your agency, what is something they can do maybe in like 15 minutes to start this positioning with personal brand and SEO?
Good. Yeah, it's very difficult to give general advice here because I'm thinking about different platforms, and it depends where you are in your journey. So yeah, it's. However, I think I already mentioned from my experience, not a lot of people invest, not a lot of podcasters invest in their website. So just by spending 15 minutes having some, I mean, there are now easy ways to create website with AI, or like use platforms like Squarespace or Framer. There are a bunch of templates out there. So it's never been easier and even cheaper to have actually your own website done in as fast time as possible. So I think that is one thing that you can do, is spend just 15 minutes researching and looking up some website creation platforms. Decide on one. It doesn't matter which one it is, and just have that project to build your website and to start putting information on there. So start maybe writing a blog, start improve, like adding your photos, start showing you as a person, add your name to your website, add your podcast, all it just use it as a library for everything that you do, and just start piling stuff on. And then after a year or two, or however long, once you're ready to move forward, you'll benefit from having that central website in whatever other way you're gonna do your promote your podcast, whatever that's LinkedIn or Instagram. Having a strong like website is gonna benefit you quite a lot.
I love that. So, where can everyone find you?
I'm in a couple of places. Avium.vip, that's the agency's website. So all of the case studies, testimonials, services, all of that stuff is there. However, I'm also personally active on LinkedIn. My name, my surname, you can find it there. And I do actually now create videos and kind of vlogs on YouTube regarding the behind the scenes of creating the agency. So if you really want to dig in deeper on how the agency is being run, how it's created, and all of that stuff, I share all of that on my YouTube.
Yeah, there's a lot of good nuggets on your YouTube channel. I'm like, man, I got to catch up.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I appreciate and the I'm like so excited about this conversation. Of course, as always, all the information is at the top of the show notes, because I really do think bringing in experts and having an expert help you along the way at the right time is important. And the fact that you said to me directly, if it's not a right fit, I'm not going to take the client, that really is something that is so important to me and who I'm referring out into the world. So if you are a podcaster who is ready for the next level, which is like 10% of you maybe made it over a year, like, you have so much content, it should be a legacy. If you're not getting visible, it might be time for the conversation.
Wow, that's thank you so much. You have put it so nicely.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I am so incredibly grateful for this conversation, and I appreciate what you're doing. And I appreciate that you are standing behind people so that they can build the legacy, because I think that when we get the right people on the right stages in front of the right people, we really can make a change in the world. And I appreciate you helping people do that without burning them out by repurposing content into the sloppy world that's out there that's doing nothing for us.
Yeah, I mean, we already have AI doing the slop work for us. We don't need to, pile on additional stuff. So that's right. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you so much for having me. This was an amazing conversation.